The groups accuse the president of caving to demands and abandoning his election promise to protect his working-class supporters from the effects of globalism. Washington. For months, President Trump has been railing about the urgent need for a wall to protect against what he calls an invasion of illegal immigrants flooding across the southwestern border. But he has also been delivering another message: we need workers, he told a group of activists recently. In other words, he wants more immigrants. I want people to come into our country, in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally. Mr. Trump ad-libbed last month during his State of the Union address. Comments like those from the president have ignited furious criticism from his hardline, anti-immigrant supporters who accuse him of caving to demands for cheap foreign labor from corporations, establishment Republicans and big donors while abandoning his election promise to protect his working-class supporters from the effects of globalism. This is clearly a betrayal of what immigration hawks hoped the Trump administration would be for, said Mark Krikorian, the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, which advocates cutting legal immigration by more than half. He warned that Mr. Trump was in danger of being not even that different from a conventional Republican. Breitbart News, a conservative website that promotes anti-immigrant messaging, published on Thursday the latest in a series of articles attacking Mr. Trump for catering to big business at the expense of the Americans who put him in the Oval Office. Trump requests more foreign workers as southern border gets overrun, the site blared on its homepage. That Mr. Trump would advance the interests of the global elite ahead of our citizens would be a tragic reversal on any day, Lou Dobbs, the Fox News host, said in a televised rant against the president on Wednesday evening on the Fox Business Channel. The White House has simply lost its way. Corporations and influential corporate conservatives such as Charles G. Koch and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce have long urged the president to help them recruit the talent they need by expanding the number of workers who can enter the United States from other countries. That has become more urgent as the economy has improved and as declining unemployment has made it harder for companies to find workers. To assuage their concerns, Mr. Trump has increasingly tailored his immigration talking points to cater to the needs of business executives like those who attended a business roundtable on Wednesday at the White House. We're going to have a lot of people coming into the country. We want a lot of people coming in. And we need it, Mr. Trump said as he sat next to Tim Cook, the chief executive of Apple, and other executives. We want to have the companies grow, and the only way they're going to grow is if we give them the workers, and the only way we're going to have the workers is to do exactly what we're doing. But that message runs counter to the hardline immigration image that Mr. Trump has carefully nurtured, most recently by shutting the government down for 35 days in a failed attempt to pressure Congress to fund a wall on the Mexican border. Mr. Trump won the White House in no small part by embracing anti-immigrant messaging that tapped into the economic fears of blue-collar workers upset about losing their jobs to foreign workers. Throughout the 2016 presidential campaign, he attacked undocumented immigrants as rapists and murderers and called for a big, beautiful wall along the border with Mexico. Since becoming president, Mr. Trump has aggressively sought to crack down on illegal border crossings, increase deportations, cut the number of refugees allowed into the United States and make it harder for migrants to claim asylum. He has complained about drug dealers, gangs and members of Central American caravans pouring across the border. And last summer, his administration separated thousands of migrant children from their parents in an effort to deter Central American families from trying to seek refuge in the United States. The harsh record, and comments by Mr. Trump that disparaged African nations in vulgar terms and suggested that Haitian immigrants all have AIDS, has earned him the enmity of Democrats and immigration activists, who call him a racist president. It is unclear whether Mr. Trump will follow through on his recent pro-business messaging. Many of the president's aides, including Stephen Miller, his top immigration advisor in the White House, agree with the hardline activists about the need to lower legal immigration. In 2017, Mr. Trump endorsed the RAISE Act, a Republican Senate bill that would reduce legal immigration by as much as 50%. And the administration is currently considering a proposal to cut immigration by denying work authorizations, known as H-4 permits, to almost 100,000 spouses of immigrants who are brought in by companies to work legally in the United States. But even so, some of the nation's most hard-line anti-immigration activists have become increasingly nervous that Mr. Trump might waver on their primary concern, the need to shrink the number of immigrants who enter the United States each year, currently 1.1 million. They argue that tight labor markets make it exactly the wrong time to allow more foreign workers to compete with Americans. Chris Chmielewski, the deputy director of Numberusa, which lobbies for lower legal immigration, said companies should be pressured to hire more Americans instead. Anything we do now to bring in more foreign workers could actually reverse some of the economic gains over the last 4 years. Mr. Chmielewski said, "We're absolutely concerned. We feel this isn't how he ran on the issue." Last week, in an effort to communicate that message directly to Mr. Trump, Numberusa began airing an ad on Fox News Channel in the hopes that the president would get the message that his supporters do not want to let in more than 1 million immigrants each year. The majority of voters say the number should be cut to 500,000 or less, the ad said. Americans want less immigration, Mr. Krikorian, of the Center for Immigration Studies, said that companies that no longer have access to foreign workers would have no choice but to turn to Americans who are still struggling to find work, people with disabilities, teenagers, older people and even former convicts.